Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with WorldWide Willis. And this podcast is brought to you by the LMG Podcast Network. And I have the full crew today as we go through another wrestler efficiency rating episode. Spencer, how's it going?
Doing all right. How about you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. L, how you doing?
I'm doing good, since we're all together, because you and Pat be going at it. I did bring my snacks. Just let y'all know.
It's good to
I'm
see.
just
Good to
I'm
hear.
just I'm just waiting for this entertainment. I'm just here for the entertainment.
I'm interested how it'll be today because we'll see. Pat, who knows? He might have a hot take on either one of these people. But Patrick, you've been referenced already. How's it going?
Say his name and he appears. I'm back. This episode should be a good one. Uh, probably some spirited debates. We'll probably say something obnoxious that I gotta correct him for, but that's just me. I stand on business. So, but I'm ready.
This guy. But yeah, today we're going through another wrestler efficiency rating episode. If you listened to our last one, go ahead and go check that out. That was a good time. A lot of debate, a lot of discussion, breaking down wrestlers because people like Pat and other people out there in the fandom say stuff, but there's no rating to it, right? You can just say whatever. But our goal here is to put a rating on things to where we can officially say, where the numbers back up what you're actually saying. Spencer, did you want to talk about what we got here today?
Yeah, I can do that. So, the wrestler efficiency rating is a collection of items or categories on which we will rate wrestlers to come up with a full number. So, we have a number of categories, and we will go through them as we, discuss. The highest number of points someone can get is a 99, which is super unlikely because that means they would have to get 11s across the board. So we have 9 categories, and you can be ranked anywhere between 1 and 11. We save the 11s for that like top tier goat discussion stuff. So we don't want to get loose with the 11s. Because you have to stand on that. You have to justify
Uh,
it.
I don't
And
want to.
so, and in our last episode, we talked about two people. We talked about Hulk Hogan. We talked about Bret Hart, and we ended with each of us having a total for those people. And so, today we're going to talk about some other wrestlers, probably better, but we'll see what the numbers say. So, we will, like I said, we will get into the categories as they happen. But the first wrestler we will be doing for the wrestler efficiency rating today is the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Randy Savage.
So,
Emo races to the
Brandon,
top.
I'm gonna start with you, and we're gonna start with move set. So
Mm,
this is you're rating the Macho Man on the move set that he has, the moves that he created and used, move execution, that type of stuff.
okay. And if I remember correctly, did we do halves on this or just whole numbers? Just
Just
fully.
whole.
Whole
Okay.
It's
numbers,
all
man.
numbers.
Make the math easier. You want halves because you can't decide nothing. Even though you're gonna give 1.5 to somebody, just give them a 1.
It was a simple question. But
Wow.
anyways, all right. Macho Man moveset. So this is kind of a tough one because you have to factor in era, right? He started late 70s, early 80s, and he really took off. He was an excellent, excellent in the ring, right? Technician. He usually laid out the match that he had. Like he wasn't usually the guy who had the match laid out for him. Um, he was really good. Obviously, off the top rope, the elbow. He kind of started that being a really noticeable move. Um, he had some good drop kicks. He basically did all the basics really, really well. He just didn't have a ton of crazy groundbreaking moves. So I'm gonna give Macho Man in moveset. I'm gonna give him a 7.
Okay. Okay. L, what do you think of Macho Man's moveset?
I agree with everything Brandon said because, yeah, back then they wasn't doing too much,
Mm-hmm.
and I always have to think about that. Something, oh yeah, he do all this and all of that, but they didn't. That some of that stuff wasn't invented back then.
Right.
It was like real graps back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was basically fighting a lot.
Yeah, they be straight up fighting majority of the time. I do agree. I would say a 7 on the move set. I definitely would agree with that.
Okay. Okay, Pat?
Uh, as much seven's probably the right number here. Um, but I think I'm gonna go 6, mainly because kind of how Willis was saying that there's nothing that like stood out. And not that there wasn't it was a basic moveset, but it wasn't anything that wowed you. It was the typical usual DDT, couple punches thrown. Uh, I think he had like a backdrop of suplex and then some of his off the top rope stuff, which for that time wasn't done a whole lot. But it wasn't anything like, oh wow, that's a new thing, or like that's a like they sticks out in every match he did type of thing. So I think I'm gonna go 6.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go 7 here. Very solid, but nothing spectacular. But execution was good.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
far as like the moves he did, like again of the time period.
Right.
So, okay, okay. L, what do you think about the Macho Man's in-ring performance? So the selling, the athleticism, like getting the crowd involved with the match. What are you thinking there?
Man, he was great at all of that. Like you felt everything that he did in all his matches. Like even though like we all said all the moves were, basic moves at that time, just like you said earlier, the execution was always great. He always had the crowd involved. All his everything that he did like had meaning to it.
Yeah.
Um, I would probably give I would say an 8.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Pat?
I think an 8 is accurate. I'm gonna go with an 8 as well. Because Macho Man had a way of like bringing you in as a fan into what he was feeling during the match. It's a little bit before my time, but the matches I remember going back and watching, um, he was always on the receiving end of a beating. Um, and like whenever he was hit, he would have that look, or if he was turning it around and going to uh like fire up and start getting going at his opponent, he would get those eyes and like look at the crowd and kind of like so like you would feel almost what he was feeling. So um yeah, I agree.
Okay. Okay. I would agree. I think 8 is the right place, in my opinion, as far as what he was able to do in the ring. Like all of it. So yeah. Brandon?
Man, if there was an 8.5, I'd do it here. Because I just feel like it isn't quite good enough for a 9. But man, like him and Hulk Hogan kind of started. I don't want to say started, but Ric Flair in there too. We'll talk about that. But like to like look at the crowd to kind of see what they're thinking while going through an emotion. And I mean, we'll talk about promos, but his herky jerky, very like over the top emotions in a promo, like that was the same thing he did in the ring. So you kind of
Yeah.
knew exactly what like how he was feeling. Like it was consistent from promos in the back, in the backstage to in ring. And yeah, I think eight's a good mark just because I mean the performance, even the little like twirl around, before he hit the elbow. Yeah, like all that stuff. Like you see people still doing that today, just how
Yeah.
transcendent he is. Um yeah, I think eight's a good mark.
Okay. Okay. For our next category, Pat, I need you to give me a number for the Macho Man's mic work.
Uh,
Uh, Cutting promos, working the crowd. What do we
I mean, we
think?
gotta give him a 10, right?
Okay.
I mean, he was one of the best of his generation, if not for multiple generations, at talking on a mic. He's like you go back and watch his interviews, every one of them is entertaining. And not like necessarily, I don't know if he was like a promo battle person, but he was just like, when there was a mic in his face, one, you didn't know what the fuck he was saying. Sorry, excuse me, what in the heck he was saying. Two, you didn't know what he was going to talk about. Three, sometimes he talked about stuff that didn't have to do with what his match was going to be. Like he could be fighting Hulk Hogan and then go off and talk about Andre the Giant. It's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? We're talking about the food he ate for lunch, like something about the cream rising to the top, but it's just like Brandon said with his movements and his like the way he talked, the voice,
The
like
hands.
and the hands, like you were just invested in it, you're entertained, confused some of the times, kind of like what is this man talking about? What he's just rambling, but also credit for a lot of that stuff to Mean Gene because he would set these guys up and he would sell that stuff
Yeah.
like crazy. But yeah, definitely 10 for Much on the mic. Even his commentary work was phenomenal.
Brandon, just so I'm clear, you gave him an 8 on in-ring, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so Macho Man mic work. I'm giving him an 11 here. Uh,
Mm.
like he was again, when it came to cutting promos, like he was too much. We still talk about his promos today. And not just one. It's not like he just did one promo that we all reference. Like there's a collection of Macho Man promos that we will go back and enjoy right now.
Right.
And to have a catalog, because there are some people they have like one like really good promo that everybody references, but like again, he's got several.
Yeah.
And at the time, like he was at the time, like he was it was so good.
Yeah.
And for him to be that good back then is really impressive. Like there were not really other people on that level of like mic in your face, just start going.
Yeah.
And so I'm giving him the 11 here, and I feel good about it.
Hmm.
Brandon.
I so it's tough because like Pat broke it down. I kind of break it down in my head to backstage promo guy, also in ring with a mic and there's somebody in front of you, battle style. You know what I mean? And I feel like obviously Macho he killed it in the backstage area, right? When he would like just walk around Mean Gene and Mean Gene's like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? His intensity, he'd be just drenching, sweating. You don't know why. Uh, but I'm I'm gonna have to go 10 only because like I'm thinking of the MJFs, the CM Punks, the people that like Stone Colds, the people that like could go face to face with a mic in their hand and go to work, and then also the people who could do it in the backstage with the interviewer. I didn't necessarily see that from Macho as much. However, I do think because of his backstage stuff is so iconic, like you can just YouTube it and you'll just have a good time. Um, I'm going with a 10.
So I'm gonna bring up a counterpoint to this. I mean, not that you gave him a bad score or whatever, but in those days though, they didn't have a lot of the in-ring face-to-face promos because a lot of the promo stuff was like recorded in the back, and that way they could just have the matches because everything was. I mean, obviously everything was pre-recorded, but I think if he was in front of a person, I still think he could do well. Like on the level of MJF, CM Punk.
I mean, I get that, but also he wrestled in WCW where that was the thing, right? You still had people face to face talking, or they were in the same. One person was on the ramp, one person was in the ring. Ric Flair did it all the time. You know what I mean? Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, all of
Was
them
he
did it a lot.
was he given those opportunities though?
I mean, initially, yeah. I mean, he was one of the top names on the brand. Hulk
Yeah,
Hogan,
he was.
he was with the
Because
biggest group in the
he
brand.
got Hogan's the one that or he's the one that Hogan turned on to form the NWO, right?
Yeah, yep. Which
Yeah.
he ended up joining, which makes no sense. But
Yeah, because I remember
Everybody
some
was
of
in
those
NWO.
promos. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was at one point. Um, but everybody, like, I remember watching. Remember seeing promos, and he's like in the back, and he's still like doing his thing. I just don't know if they gave him the opportunity to do that because it was so late in his career, and um, from stuff I've heard, he wasn't all there at that point. Like he was kind of not coked out, but
hmm,
from from the outside of the ring shenanigans.
yeah,
Okay.
But
Ale, what do we think?
I would say a 10 as well. Because the thing I think about, especially with Mike work, is am I going to remember it like years later? And like y'all said earlier, like everybody still quote all his stuff still. They still
hmm,
does his voice. Like I was hearing people, on YouTube talking. Like I saw a podcast with Julian Edelman from used to be the wide receiver of the the Patriots.
yeah,
His whole intro, because he was interviewing Becky Lynch, his whole intro was in the Macho Man Randy Savage voice and quoting him.
right,
Like, and I didn't know he was a wrestling fan, but he was definitely a Macho Man fan.
right,
And like in what Pat was talking about, he would go off script and talk about some wild crap, and you don't even know what he's talking about, but you was invested
yeah.
because the passion he brought to every promo and every time he was talking. So I'll give him a 10.
Okay. Okay. Character work. Um, was it good? Was it believable? Was it iconic? How was the story game there? Um, I'm going to I think I'm going to give Macho Man for character a 10. I loved it, first of all. I mean, it was great. But
Yeah,
also he was a character. He's one of the examples of like he's like that was absolutely a character and there was no other way of looking at it.
right.
And it was really good. It was very like as far as being iconic, come on.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know if like there are whole conventions dedicated to people dressing up like different versions of the Macho Man.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was great, but I don't think it's 11. I don't think it's 11 worthy character wise, but it was still excellent to me. So I'm gonna give it a 10. Brandon?
Man, character. This is tough. No, you're right. Like he was the character. Like he was Macho Man. It's literally him, you know. And even when he was like King Savage and like he did play that character well, you know. The whole Elizabeth stuff.
All
He
the
played the
Elizabeth stuff was
yeah,
really, yeah, like as far as character, that's
yeah,
yeah.
being like the jealous, you know, boyfriend. Like I mean, that was real life, but also the way he sold it on camera was amazing. Um, so yeah, I would go with a 10 just because he was, especially like heyday Macho Man, like he was all the way in character. I mean, later on WCW, like there it was Macho Man, but you know what I mean, wasn't much variations. They kind of stuck him with the same gimmick, but Uh, I thought he, as far as that goes, character work goes, he was one of the best to ever do it.
All right. L?
I'll go with a 10 as well. Like y'all was just mentioning about the whole storyline with Miss Elizabeth, which is one of the most iconic storylines of wrestling history.
Yeah,
Um, I'm trying to think of the longevity of just him because you got to think about also WCW when he was with the NWO and when
yeah,
he did that stint in TNA,
yeah,
which
right,
is odd enough all in itself.
yeah,
Um, but he still stayed true to the character. He was like one of those wrestlers that you don't see anymore where outside of, the ring, he was a macho man.
yeah.
Like the Undertaker. Like it took until like what, a few years ago for Undertaker,
The pandemic, basically.
yeah, to break kayfabe now.
Right.
And Macho Man was like that too. So I definitely
Yeah.
give him a 10 for that.
Okay. Okay. Pat?
I gotta agree with the fellas. He, like most guys back then, truly like was in character, lived the character. Um, but he was one of the few where like you couldn't tell if he what was Mach and what was Randy. Like, or I think his actual name was Lonnie Hofo, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, you couldn't tell the difference between the two. Like he was legitimately that character. Um, so it like it's tough to put into words. It's just that's just how good he was. Even like NWO wise, he was still that character, and it was over. Like I think he's one of the one main people whose character stayed over for so long, besides the Undertaker.
Right.
Um,
That's true.
like Hogan had to turn heel and kind of do a little bit, tweak it a little bit. Um, Austin went. I mean, I guess his character stayed for a while, but it was like kind of later in his career anyway, so it wasn't like that long. Um, who else? That's what I'm saying. There's not a whole lot of people who can say they were this character the whole time. Like, yeah, there was the Macho King version, the
Yeah.
NWO version, but like the mannerisms were all the same.
Right.
So, uh, 10 is very accurate for that.
Okay. Okay. Brandon, how do we feel about influence and impact on the business, on other wrestlers that were with him and after, on the world of wrestling? Um, how influential do you think the Macho Man is?
Man, I'm honestly fighting on like, is there anyone more like, is there anyone more influential? I'm trying to think. Just because like from what we talked about, like you got people random like I'll see comedians and I'll send it to Spencer, but like comedians doing great Macho Man impressions and they're hilarious. Um, but like just that alone has taken off. Then in ring, like up from the pageantry to what they wear out in the ring, like you can see like when you look at Seth Rollins, sometimes you're like, dude, that's basically Macho Man. You know what I mean? Uh, just from that era, because he's not the top guy, but he's one of the top guys. Like very, on point with what Seth is trajectory wise. So for me, influence, man. Seeing Punk when he does the elbow, Bailey when she does the elbow. Like, I gotta go. I'm gonna jump out the window. I gotta go 11 here. Influence.
Okay. Okay. L, I think you're muted.
Yeah, it was. Uh, I'm fighting that too. But the only thing is, when you said is anybody more, I got a few people in my head that might be more.
Mm,
And that's what got me. I was like, I was gonna give that sucker 11. Till you
yeah.
said that, I was like, well, I'm gonna go with 10. But I do
Yeah.
agree with everything you said though.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Bailey does the elbow drop. Shoot, Woods does the elbow drop.
Yeah.
You just do a different variation of it, but it's still the elbow drop from the top rope.
Yeah.
Then also like with his like you said, with Seth, that's I never thought about that until you said that.
Yeah.
Like even his movements remind now when I think about it, reminds me of Macho Man.
Right.
So yeah, I'll give it a 10.
Okay. Okay, Pat.
Hmm. Mm-mm-mm.
Go
As
ahead and
influ
spew some nonsense.
No, it's never nonsense. It's never nonsense. As much as influential as he is, obviously, I mean, 10 is definitely accurate. Our 11 might be pushing a little bit, but there's a lot of people who not just his in-ring work, um, but take from his promo skills and how he cut promos. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's still like taught and shown to certain people, hey, if you're having trouble with promos and your character work, like look at this person, watch this person. Um,
Yeah.
and so many people, like obviously the in-ring with the elbow drop, um, but a lot of times when people reference wrestling, even with people who don't know it, people do the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
And so not only does it influence the business, but influences outside. Because I've heard coaches and I've heard um, trainers or the people who are like supposed to be these pep talker type of people. I can't even think of the word that they are now, but influential speakers. There it is.
Hmm.
Uh, they use the whole cream rises to the top and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
so definitely influential. And still to this day, I think people are becoming wrestlers because of Macho.
Yeah. I even forgot about like every time I see a Slim Jim, I think of
Oh,
Macho Man.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. I agree. I'm going to give him a 10. I don't. What I was basically trying to decide in my head was as far as influence, where do I put him up with Hulk Hogan? Just because we have uh already ranked Hogan.
Hmm.
We didn't just
And
rank that guy, we raked him through the coals.
and I had to ask myself, do I think large scale Macho Man is as influential as Hulk Hogan? And I don't like the fact that my answer was no. Matter of fact, I hate the fact that my answer was no.
Yeah.
I think that Macho Man has a bigger influence on everything outside of wrestling, but inside of wrestling, I think Hulk Hogan has a bigger influence.
Mm,
Not much bigger.
yeah.
Like I'm not saying that Hulk Hogan is just like blowing him out the water, but um I I don't like it. But I'm gonna give him a 10 because
Yeah.
I don't think he's quite at that 11, but that's not there's no disrespect there.
Right.
What did
Uh
we give him?
Hogan,
Yeah.
Probably like
uh
a
it's-
Not on
you
no on that part I don't think we did.
on influence, all of you gave him a 10.
Okay.
So uh
Mm,
both of them you gave a 10. I gave Hogan 11 on influence because he was the
Oh
prototype.
yeah. Yeah, he was.
yeah.
And there are
I'm
still
like,
like that model is still being like followed and honored as far as wrestlers moving through the process today. Like that is the blueprint.
yeah.
That is the standard, yeah.
And so that's but that's why we're here. That's why we all have our own set.
Hmm.
So, Pat, what do we think theme song for the Macho Man?
Oh, it's great. It's not a big flashy thing. It's just a simple pomp and circumstance. But you hear it still today when I go to graduations and I hear it, I automatically think uh Randy Savage. Like I don't even think of it as a graduation song. It's Macho Man's theme song. So with that being said, for me, probably an 11.
Oh,
Oh,
all right.
all right.
I
Interesting.
am not gonna do that. Um,
It's like it's nothing spectacular, it's nothing great, but just like
as
the
far as
fact,
iconic and
yeah, like
recognizable and
yeah, like it's nothing else except Macho's theme song. It's not even a graduation song. Like when I graduated, I was doing the Macho Man like walk to
handling your hip.
it.
okay, okay. Uh, I'm gonna give it an 8. Um, I appreciate like it fits the Macho Man. It makes sense, but like musically, it's I think we could do better. I think we could find something like if we really tried, we could find something better and more personalized for the Macho Man.
Yeah,
But it definitely fit. It made sense. It felt right, but it wasn't sensational. So I will say 8. Brandon?
But that's the thing though. Like nothing about the Macho Man made sense. That's what made him the Macho Man. Like so, the theme song not making make sense or just
I
mm.
I think there's room for improvement, which is why I can't go higher.
Yeah.
makes sense.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm gonna go with a 7.
Okay.
Um, I didn't. The song is good, but like Spencer said, like this should have been a layup. This should have been we hire Prince and be like, hey Prince, can you make us a theme song? Or we go to Little Richard and be like, hey, can you make us like somebody to fit,
With
or
that
like I don't,
gravitas,
yeah, just somebody to like give us a little pep in our
razzle
step,
dazzle.
a little pep in our step. We got some fireworks going, and that song is playing. You're like, oh, snap! Like I'm feeling, you know what I mean? Like even I would argue Hulk Hogan's theme
True
is more
American?
like, you know what I mean, more of a pick me up than Macho Man's. And I just felt like Macho Man was the perfect wrestler to have because they didn't do a ton with people's music back then. I get that, but this should have been
Y'all
a
gave
perfect.
Hogan an 11 on music.
I love Hogan's song. Yeah,
Was
by
that
the
right?
way.
All
We
Yeah,
of you
all
gave him an
did.
11. I
yeah.
didn't, but you 3 did.
Oh,
What'd you give him, Spencer?
A 10.
Okay. Um, I just felt like this was the time. This was one of your crossover guys. They pretty much did that with Hulk Hogan. I don't know who did the song. I forgot who did the Hulk song, but they thought, okay, this needs to be able to translate to other stuff. Like if you would have played Hulk Hogan's song in a movie, action movie, I'd have been like, oh yeah, that fits. Whereas Macho, I don't know. I think that was way too much opportunity there to go with your basic walk down the aisle song.
Okay. L.
I'm gonna go with a 7. Well, for one, like I said, it is pop and circumstance. I was a band kid in high school,
I
so I
hated
played
playing
all.
that song. I
I
hated it
hated
so
play.
much.
I hated it.
Oh, I hate it. I've played that song so many times, and it never gets better. It's
Mm-mm,
always terrible.
mm-mm. I think one time we got in trouble for trying to remix it
Is it
because
the
we were
song
sick
or the
of it.
people playing the instruments?
Say what?
I said, was it the song or the people playing the instruments and made it not get better?
No, it was the song.
It was a song.
Because we played it well, but it
Yeah.
it sucked to play.
Clearly
Yeah,
not
then
if
you gotta play it
Randy
through the
Savage didn't
whole
come out when he
time,
played
through
it.
the
Yeah.
whole time where everybody's getting diplomas.
Yeah, like we had to play it for every single student that walked across the stage. So
Yeah,
we had to play it for goddamn 45 minutes to 2 hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly, you guys didn't play it good enough if Randy Savage didn't walk out.
Not in Oklahoma.
I hated it.
But that's my bias coming out on that one.
Yeah,
But
like
at the
I'm not
same
holding that
time,
against him, but
yeah, I'm not going to, but come on, like Brandon said, like this one of the your top people in the company. You couldn't do something else.
and the fact that Hulk Hogan was around the same time and had like top tier music means it was
Yeah,
possible it could be done.
Yeah,
This,
exactly.
they just got
this
lazy.
discussion, it kind of makes me want to go down a rabbit hole and figure out why they picked that song.
That's what
After this is over, I'm definitely doing that.
because bro, the business opportunities were way too big. I mean, obviously they didn't know Macho was going to end up being a crossover star at the time, probably not, but they knew, okay, this dude's probably going to be a top heel. He killed it on the independents. Like you kind of knew what you were getting. You didn't know the level of star he was going to be, but like the fact that you could do that with Hulk and be like, oh yeah, from beginning I know what he is. I'm gonna give him this, and not do it with Macho was kind of crazy. I don't know.
No, I agree. Um, alrighty. We have for our next one entrance. Pat, what do we think?
Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 9 on this one because there's Flair, but it was very basic. It was kind of like the walk. He had the finger. He did the hand thing, but it was nothing like it wasn't like an NWO like a Scott Hall doing the sideways walk down the ramp like throwing the two sweet up. Like it was none of that. It was just a very simple, basic, not Undertaker type basic walk to the ring, but it was like, he had his the moves that he would go down, but nothing crazy. So I think I'm gonna go 9.
Undertaker slander. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say because that's not how I would describe the Undertaker entrance, but
I wouldn't describe it that way either, but I'm just saying
we'll talk about that
Undertaker
another
was
day.
a slow, maniacal, stare deep in your soul because he's about to take it type of
No,
walk.
don't hype it now.
Yeah, no,
Bro,
yeah,
Spencer
I feel
goes,
like
stop. I've gone on record multiple times saying the Undertaker is my GOAT, and I will die on that
chill
hill.
out, chill out. Yeah, chill out.
Anyway, um, okay. I, this is another situation where like I think I expect more from the Macho Man.
Mm,
So I want to say like 7
mm.
because again with everything he brings to the table with the entrance again I think he should have brought more to us and I think he's able to. I think he had like his bag was deep and I feel like he didn't. It wasn't like terrible. It wasn't bad, but like I was like, I wanted more from you, Macho Man. Like this is as much as you have going on, as much as you do. Like I would have expected that we had a little more here, but that's just me. Brandon,
Question: what do we give Hulk Hogan here?
you gave him an 8.
Yeesh. Okay. I I think my mind was probably set on this number anyways, but I'm gonna go 8 just because the gear was fresh, the
The gear
jackets
was
were
fire. That's
the
true.
gear, the hat, I mean Jay Usos is copying his style with the glasses, right on the glasses. You know what I mean? Those are fire. You know what I mean? Different colorways, wearing the yellow or the baby blue, or um, like you said, I wanted a little more, but I also think that's part of the period, the time period. Like if he would have came out today, or even he came out in WCW, like he would have had fireworks going off. He would have had all kind of craziness going on back behind him. But at that time they were real small arenas, so I mean they weren't really. It was just a walkway. Um, so I give him an 8.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I would probably say an 8. Um, like you said, I wish it should have been more.
Yeah,
And I think that gets me, it never really changed.
yeah,
Like if you
true.
got okay, we all know that you're over. Okay, have a different entrance that you're one of the top guys now.
Yeah,
Never changed.
it's
So
true.
I think that's the part bothers me more than anything. Like a lot of superstars wind up changing something about their entrance
Yeah.
that like, hey, I'm the guy now. Well,
Hmm.
think about The Rock right now. His whole entrance is different now.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Even Hulk Hogan's got
yeah,
different.
his changed.
Yeah.
Like it never evolved to anything different or up to date. So
Okay. Okay. Um, so for our next one, we have longevity. Um, longevity. Hmm.
now I do have a question about his longevity. Are we
Yeah.
talking about him being in the ring
Yes.
or just
And being
Yeah.
in the
doing
ring.
stuff with the company?
In the ring.
In the ring. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, he did wrestle for a while, a good while, because all the way through the 80s and all the way through the 90s. Did he make it to 2000?
Oh,
2004.
oh, that's right, because he kept
He got
coming
the
back. That's right.
TNA.
He
Yeah.
Oh, the
wrestled
TNA.
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. You're
That's true.
going nowhere. I got you for 3 minutes. Yeah. Oh, what a
Uh,
time.
Oh man, let a kid in a terrible spider-looking costume go over.
Yes, he did. That's exactly what
True.
happened.
Hey man,
Sacrifice.
people sometimes people got to be a jobber, man.
Yeah.
So, I want to say 8 here. I feel like he was in the game for a pretty good while and for the most part at a pretty high level. I feel like, most people slow down at the end and, this was no exception. So, yeah, I'm leaning 8 here. Yeah, what do we think?
I'll say the same thing. He also had a lot of like little stop gaps too. Also, like in between WWF and WCW, then the commentary thing. So he didn't wrestle. Then with going to TNA, he had also I had these gaps in between those two.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely an 8.
Okay. Okay. Brandon.
Um, I feel like so it always threw me off because like he kind of started in the 80s. Like he wrestled, obviously started like late 70s, but got to the WWE kind of 80s, and then was like on his like final match at the end of the 80s. You know what I mean? Or was it like end of the 80s, early 90s, maybe?
Yeah, like,
And
I
it
thought
was
he had
just
like a 1991 retirement, maybe.
yeah, like, and it just felt like, man, that was kind of fast. Um, Especially when you saw other wrestlers who came in at the exact same time, like not even talking about, like they're still some of the top guys. And even wrestlers who started before him were still the top guys when Randy was retiring. Um, but yeah, like El said, there was just a few stop gaps there that I have to kind of account for, kind of ding him for. So I'd give him a 7.
Okay. Okay. Pat.
Hmm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with Willis with the 7. Um, his in-ring career wasn't as long as he had that stint in WCW. Um, but I think total combined, it was, I mean, it was a lot of years, but it wasn't like consecutive. Because then he stopped wrestling for a minute in WWE and was on commentary, which was great. He killed that role, did great. But as far as like in-ring uh longevity, it just wasn't there.
Okay. Okay. For our last category, we have other, miscellaneous. Just, this is where you've got some room for bias, but like if you want to talk about his attire or his ring gear, if you want to talk about faction stuff, did you like him? Did you not like him? Uh, just your own personal opinion kind of just holds the weight here. Brandon.
And Macho, I've always had this thing where I've kind of liked the second guy. So I usually don't love the guy, but I like the second guy. So Dragon Ball Z, hated Goku. My favorite was Vegeta, right? In this case, hated Hulk Hogan. Love Macho Man. Macho Man was one of my first like identifiable, like, ooh, I really like him type of guy. And I just like the way he wrestled. I love that he was a workhorse. He was one of the first guys to make the IC title like really, big. And like the workman's title and the true wrestler's title. And he made it to cool to be a workhorse, but also have some flair to you. Which is really cool. So yeah, he's one of my favorites. As far as that's concerned, I'm gonna have to give him a 9.
Okay. Okay. L.
I was a big fan of Macho Man, especially when he started crossing over to other stuff like, Slim Jim and being in the Spider-Man movies. Then him just culturally, still being relevant, even though he's no longer with us anymore. Um, his storyline with Miss Elizabeth, I will never ever forget
Yeah,
because I think, it was more believable wrestling was, back then
right.
because everybody had to stick to their character outside of the ring. So you really thought like all this, some of this stuff was happening, that, all that stuff was like going down. It's like that one guy talking about wrestling is still real to me, damn it.
Right.
Yeah, like that type of stuff. And he was always like, even though he was never like the number one, he was like the 2 or 3, but
Right.
you always felt his presence
Yeah.
when he was there.
Okay. Okay. So, number
Oh, that was 10.
10. Okay. Pat.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I think 10's accurate. I think 10's accurate. All the reasons that El said. Um, I'd give him the 11, but I mean, losing to a 15-year-old kid in a terribly made Spider-Man costume kind of knocks it down.
The man
No,
has superpowers, man.
Right.
all jokes aside, he you still see Macho Man today when you watch wrestling from various companies, people. Um, there's a little bit of macho in everybody. Um, and I mean, if that doesn't show how much you did for the business and how much your legacy is and things like that, then I don't know what will. And then I mean, just even the stuff he did while he was wrestling, the feud with Jake the Snake, I think it might be one of my favorites. The Mega Powers thing,
Yeah.
where he got jealous that Hogan was trying to take Miss Elizabeth, which was kind of like a real life irrational thing for him because him and Miss Elizabeth, for those listening who don't know this, spoiler alert, him and Miss Elizabeth were actually a thing, like a couple outside of the ring as well. And he was always getting like jealous and stuff like that of her with other guys, and so it kind of like in that storyline played in it, and it was great. I mean, the man got bit by a cobra.
Yeah, it's
Wild,
true.
wild. So yeah,
Okay. Okay. I am also gonna have to give him a 10 here. I love the Macho Man. Just personally, I reference him all the time. I People who have never watched wrestling know nothing about it. I will show them Macho Man clips because he's so good. He's too much.
Right.
Um, as far as I know, was never problematic in the culture.
Nope.
Yeah, it's true.
Super
Did,
important.
no,
My man had a
didn't he have a rap album?
yeah, yeah. He was kind of solid too.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Like, it doesn't surprise me. Like, you get him
yeah,
on a mic of any kind, I'm sure he could do stand up if he wanted to.
yeah. And he had like good, like dope features too. He had like West Coast rappers on there.
So yeah, easy.
Yeah,
Uh, love the Macho Man. That's a 10.
yeah.
So, cool. Would you like to know the totals for the Macho Man?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, Brandon, uh, for the record, Hulk Hogan got a 66, Bret Hart got a 52. Macho Man 77.
I like it. I like it.
L, L, you gave Hulk Hogan a 68 and Bret Hart a 52. Macho Man 78.
I'm good with that.
Pat, you gave Hulk Hogan a 66 and Bret Hart a 57.
I can't
Ma
believe I did that.
Macho Man 81.
The highest. Okay.
I gave Hulk Hogan a 67 and Bret Hart a 54 and Macho Man 79.
Mm.
So Macho Man's doing a lot better
Yeah,
As we
than
already knew
wow.
that was going to be.
we did.
It's true.
We did know that. But
It's true.
yeah. So for our second wrestler going through the wrestler efficiency rating, we have the one and only Ric Flair.
Ooh.
So, Elle, I'm going to start with you. We're going to go move set.
Because Ric Flair he was technical, but he also had some of that brawl in him.
Yeah.
And at that time, it wasn't that many like him either that
Mm.
can kind of mix it up in both ways, especially with his figure four.
Yeah.
So I would probably give his move set a 9, just because nobody was doing what he was doing.
Okay. Okay. Brandon.
Yeah. Um, he was really good at attacking a limb, taking advantage of whatever mistake the person made. Um, his performance was great, and we'll talk about that. But even like the run into the ropes and like flipping over the ropes, when somebody throws him against the turnbuckle, that was really dope. Obviously the figure four.
I said that goes more into the second category.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
figure four, of
Yes.
course,
See,
in this
that's
one.
why we can't get an accurate number from Willis because he keeps putting stuff in the wrong categories.
I said it was part of performance. I said, even that. Uh, but yeah, I think overall, even the striking, we all know the chops, um, and how devastating that was. So for moveset, I'm gonna give him an 8.
Okay. Okay. I would agree with Brandon. I think moveset was an 8. Because for me, there are a lot of people who chop, but like Ric Flair was chops to me.
Right.
Like whenever somebody else used a chop or whenever a chop was used, like Ric Flair is who came to mind.
Yeah.
But yeah. In the figure four, like when I was younger, I used to think it was like trash.
Yeah.
But as I've grown, I'm like, I see the appeal.
Yeah. You put somebody in that, or
You
you,
put yeah, if you
yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
you actually
hurts.
where
do it.
that's
Oh,
where because I decided I had a cousin. I was like, let me just see. Because
yeah.
normally I'd put him in the walls of Jericho.
Yeah.
But I was like, let's see how this figure four goes. And yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah. It was rough. You just can't let him turn it over. Then it
Yeah.
sucks. Yeah.
Especially like the way he did it, he'll do it while he's standing up and just drop to the floor.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's when you know if you got somebody, if it hurt before you drop,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Pat, what do we think?
Um, I'm gonna go 8. Um, it was moves that you saw quite a bit, but the way he would do them, and the way he kind of revolutionized them, um, he did them the best almost at that point. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna go 8. The figure four was definitely he originated hops. Uh, what else? I'm trying to think what moves he had. Um, I mean, like
He
just
didn't.
his punches look good.
Yeah,
Um, he was also, oh, maybe I'll go lower because if you think about it, he didn't really have many moves. He was on the receiving end of a lot, and then he,
right.
he would like chop somebody, punch him a few times, potentially get have a DDT. But I guess it wasn't his moveset. I get not basic, but it was a normal tactician wrestler moveset. Uh,
Yeah,
he had the backbreaker or whatever, like where or the little like we would like put them on his knee, kind of like low blow type thing.
yeah,
Uh, um, it's like he didn't have a unique moveset outside of the chops and the figure four, but he did a lot of stuff.
And I think
So,
that and
uh,
and kind of to Brandon's point, like bleeding into the next one, I feel like a lot of his moves were about attacking the legs in
yeah,
preparation for the figure four. Because I
mhm.
remember
Yeah.
he'd like hit the ropes, run behind somebody, then like shoulder somebody like in the back of the knee,
Oh yeah, he had the
that
yeah,
kind of
chop
stuff.
block. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
So yeah, I feel
yeah,
like a lot of his moves were kind of just like set up for the figure four.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That makes sense. He's a tactician. He
Yeah.
he knew what he needed to do to win, and so that's what he would do. And other typical heel stuff. The poke to the eye. I forgot about the thumb to the eye.
yeah.
Yeah. I-
Oh, I
And,
forgot about
and
that.
and I think of him when I think of the thumb of the eye.
Yep.
Hmm.
Same.
Yeah, so we're gonna go with 8. 8 is good.
Okay. Okay. Pat, I'll start with you for in-ring performance.
Oh, oh man. Probably a 10 because he was one of the greater in-ring performers as far as like his selling. Like Brandon was mentioning, he gets thrown in the turnbuckle, he'd flip over them, um, or he would like bounce out and act like he was gonna come back and fight, like he was gonna no sell it, and then he would just fall face first
Oh
into the
yeah,
mat. Uh, and then when he was getting a move put on him, like you could tell it hurt because
yeah,
of his facial expression, because of how he would uh make the crowd feel. Even as a heel, they're like, "Ooh, like we like he's getting beat up, but like that you could tell that really hurts." So,
yeah.
um, I think 10 is accurate for that.
Okay. L?
Definitely will say a 10. He's probably one of the most like dramatic wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
Like Pat was saying, never seen anybody hit the ropes and just fall straight to on his face
Right.
and get like right back up. Like, are you okay? Or the amount of times he got real extra when he was a manager. Like he get kicked out, you know that shirt coming off.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Or
Yeah.
shoot, before John Moxley was bleeding every match, Ric Flair was the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
I was gonna say that he
He
bled
was
a
a
lot.
bleeder.
Yeah, he
Him and
bled all
Dusty
the time.
Rhodes, all their matches, somebody bled or both.
Yeah,
He was
busted
just
him open.
always
Yeah.
getting busted open. And he'll sell the mess out of
Pause.
that. Yeah, pause on that one.
Egregious. Go ahead.
But that's what I'll give him a 10.
Brandon?
Let me focus. Jeez. All right. Man, in ring, I got to give him a 10, just because I think he created, or was one of the first to create the art of, like, selling is one of the biggest weapons for a heel. Like the whole, like, he would be on it, like the baby face would be getting like pumped up or like getting pissed off, and then Ric Flair would like fall to his knees and be like, "No, no,
No.
no, please, no." You know what I mean? Little stuff like that, man, like putting the baby face over, and like, you know, all that stuff, just really selling it, man. And like, he was just one of the best I ever seen of it. Like when I watched like MJF or a lot of these guys, these heels, these like talk crap type of heels, like I feel like they get it a lot from him. You know what I mean? Just his everything. He sold all the moves well. He even sold well when he got super old, like when he was like wrestling Shawn Michaels, and you know, in that era when he was Evolution. Um, so yeah, I gotta give Rick a 10.
Okay. I agree. I wanted to give him an 11.
Same.
The only reason I didn't is because I, at, for me, athleticism is a lot of in-ring performance,
Hmm.
and he didn't have that. Like I couldn't check that box for him when I
Right.
compare him to other people, but like as far as getting the crowd involved, as far as the almost character work within the ring, the heel stuff, the selling, the uh you know, affecting the match in the dirtiest player in the game ways,
Yeah.
you know, like all of the stuff he did, like he came very close to an 11 here. Um because of everything that he did and how important it was to the storytelling of what happens in the ring.
Yeah.
Like he was a very good storyteller in the ring.
Absolutely.
Um, mic work. Um, I gave Macho Man an 11 here, and I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna give Ric Flair also an 11 here because the woo is one thing, but as far as the promo game, Ric Flair, like I think that I said that Macho Man has several memorable promos, but I think that if you were to make a list of like most memorable or iconic or whatever promos, Ric Flair's probably number one.
Yeah, he's had a lot of great ones.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
he
the
has.
diamond ring wearing,
Yeah.
kiss stealing, wheel it, like that one,
Yeah.
it might be the GOAT promo. Like,
On his
period.
Gators.
Yeah. Trying to hold these gators down. Like,
Yeah.
Look at my watch. Look at my watch.
Yeah.
look, I've spilled more liquor than you've made. And
Yeah.
I think I have to give him the 11 here because his mic work, because he could also go in person.
Yeah.
And that was from his time period, that wasn't really a thing. Like he was from a time period where you don't talk at somebody in a discussion. But the fact that he was able to do that also and potentially has the most good, I'm giving him an 11 for mic work. I mean, yeah, like he was too much. Pat?
Um, I'm giving him an 11. Not because of all the memorable promos he's cut and all the stuff that people still repeat and wanted to let people ride Space Mountain. Um,
I
Oh
forgot
God,
about that
I
one.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
but for me, it's the fact that he was one of the first people to figure out that you can continue to build a storyline without having to wrestle a match. Think about all of the feuds he had and how many of those were built based off of promos alone. And
Yeah.
very little, I mean, a lot of them have had some in-ring work too to build it, but a lot of it was him continuing the story, building his own character, building the his opponent uh in those promos. And even though he was like talking down to a lot of them, it was building and putting them over because it was making the fans sympathize more with the babyface, which as a heel is what you want to do, and not just like shit on him and like, oh, you're just a goody goody, whatever, whatever. He made sure the fans felt like they were on the same level as the babyface, and I'm the big bad millionaire that uh you guys are striving to be, but you're not going to get to, and I'm walking in these suits and this and that, and that's for me why I'm giving him an 11 is I'm a big story building person, and the
Hmm.
fact that he was one of the very first, him and Dusty Rhodes were the first two, I think, to really understand that you can build a promo, build a feud with your mic work. Like obviously, like other people knew it, but they figured out how to do it successfully
Yeah.
and really well. So
Okay. L?
Yeah, this is 11.
Eleven.
Yeah, y'all said enough. I don't
Okay.
have nothing to add.
Brandon.
Yeah, this might be the quickest one. It's definitely 11. Man, like he's just when he would get hyped up, like you said, he take that start taking off clothes, start walking around the ring. You like,
Yeah.
oh snap, you know. Especially if he's in Flair country. Oh, it's even 10 times
It's
more.
a wrap.
Yeah, it's just like I remember that time he called out Eric Bischoff on WCW, and he had the horsemen around him. He just kept taking off more clothes. He's hitting the ropes for no reason. You know what I mean? Start running the
That
ropes.
dude was in his drawers.
Yeah, it was in his drawers and his dress shoes. It was hitting the ropes.
The
And
loafers.
Yeah,
yeah, with the
socks and
loafers.
loafers.
Yeah. Kept on the church socks. Like my man was killing it, man. But yeah, gotta go 11 here.
Okay. Okay. Brandon, character work.
Oh man. What did I give Macho?
10.
Man, Rick. Okay, I gotta think that's a different category. For character, I mean, it stayed the same, but I mean, it was so influential and so like it was so consistent, and it was such a great gimmick to go with. Many others tried the millionaire, uh, party guy heel who wins championships. Many others tried it, but didn't do it nearly as well. And he was the character, kind of like we talked about with Macho. Like for better or worse, Ric Flair was the Playboy. So for that, I got to give him a 10.
Okay. Okay. Um, I think I also give him a 10 here because yeah, like Ric Flair, that's who he was. On and
Yep.
off the field.
Yep.
And I agree, while there wasn't a lot of stretching character wise, he didn't really need to. Like he was able to lock in and be that.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was probably just kind of being himself, but good.
Right.
Some actors don't need to act. Like just be yourself and
Yeah.
it works. So, yeah, I'm gonna give him a 10 here because he was it was good and his storytelling was top tier.
Yeah.
Like he was an excellent storyteller through the Ric Flair character as far as uh his relationship with others.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Pat?
I'm gonna go 10 as well. Um, it was just so believable. I mean, he made it that way. He would. I remember watching a documentary on him one time, and they said that he would like get the limos anywhere he went. Like he helped get the private jet so it would be believable. Like we put the four horsemen together. He told the guys like, no, we're not going in a regular car. Like we are these characters. This is how we are traveling, how we're riding, how we're arriving to the arena, how we look, how we dress. Like we're gonna actually go party after this. Like it wasn't just a promo when he was saying after this,
Yep.
I'm gonna beat you and then I'm gonna go party. Like he meant it. Like he literally was gonna go party after the show.
Yep.
And that's kind of towards the end. We'll talk about it later, or at least I will. Where it kind of derailed him a little bit, I think. Probably a little too much, but as far as like for his character, solid 10.
L?
This one is a tough one for me because he is still this character right now.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just he doesn't wrestle. Like this is
So
this
he
is
is.
who he is.
Right.
So that's the part that is like you've been doing this from the jump, and you're still doing this, and you're gonna be doing this until we don't see you no more.
Until you're in the ground.
Yeah, until you're
Yeah.
in the ground. Like he's still wearing all the gold and nice suits and still partying.
Yep.
So that's the one that's like he is still doing this though at the same time. Because I almost want to give it 11, but it's like, but he's not wrestling anymore. He's done doing that. So I'll
Mhm.
give it a 10.
I almost wonder if that speaks to the 11 because, like, he's not wrestling anymore and still doing it.
That's the issue I have.
I
Like
mean,
nobody's doing that. He's the only one.
Because even Macho Man, like, in interviews and stuff, he would, turn it down. But Ric Flair's still Ric Flair.
He'll be on ESPN, and I feel like he about to go wrestle next week.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. L, impact, influence.
I would definitely say a 10. Because his impact outside the ring, like, especially for the culture, like, he fits in with what a lot of people of color be doing.
Yeah.
The way he talks fits right in. Then also, like, even with in sports, like come on, let me get a Ric Flair woo.
Yeah.
Like when people get hyped up, or when people do the little strut that he does,
Yeah.
like all of that still to this day. And when's the last time he actually wrestled? I'm not counting that last match he almost died in a couple
HBK.
years ago. Yeah, that was his retire. He haven't wrestled since that retirement match, right?
He wrestled on TNA a few times.
I was like,
TNA.
did he go to TNA and wrestle?
Yeah. They were trash.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Fortune 4.
But just his impact, just people still do his moves, still people strut, people wear all gold, and talking about they Ric Flair drip.
Yeah.
So I definitely give that a 10.
Okay. Okay. Brandon.
It's 11. I mean, the man is an Amigos video. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Ain't touched the ring in 15 year, you know what I mean? Uh, he set the gold standard of what a champion should be. Um, you can see it in Cody Rhodes now wearing a suit. You know what I mean? Just certain things you can tell that's Ric Flair. The way he walks to the ring with the very, with the coat and all that stuff. Like you see the influence throughout many of the wrestlers. The chop, um, you know what I mean? All that stuff. You see it, just the heel work, and then I mean, I don't know if Charlotte Flair, like that's his influence. You know what I mean? Literally, she's one of the greatest to ever do it. So yeah, there's no more influential person than Ric Flair.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm giving him an 11 here. I think that Ric Flair, as we said, Hulk Hogan is the blueprint for the face. Ric Flair is the blueprint for the heel.
Yeah,
Every, I won't say every, but generally speaking, most heels have pulled something from Ric Flair.
yeah,
And I'm sure that, yeah, like Ric Flair is looked at as the example of like, that's what a heel in this business needs to look like. And
yeah,
that's how they need to present as far as what they provide for the face.
exactly.
And
Uh, yeah,
yeah, like again, like as far as like pop culture, it's absurd.
it
Like
really is.
people who have never watched a match know Ric Flair references.
Yeah,
Like like you said, can I get two claps and a Ric Flair? Everybody knows what that means.
yeah, that's true. That's like NFL locker rooms doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that his promo is probably the most quoted.
yeah,
Yeah.
And yeah, like and every stage, like even when he was like late, when he was with Evolution, like that was still like
yeah.
he was still like influencing future generations.
Their whole shtick of being suits, suited champions. That's Ric Flair. They just all took it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
like he
think,
said, I'm gonna build a faction and we just gonna collect gold. And all
yeah,
of them had belts at one point. Like that's
right. And I
and
mean,
that's like I think that other factions behind him with the Horsemen and with Evolution have followed suit because it feels like Judgment Day was trying to do a similar thing with the belt collection and
yeah,
yeah.
I
and I
think
mean,
all factions try to do that now since then.
yeah, that's kind of the cool thing. Undisputed, a bunch of them did that.
Yeah.
Um, like the low blow, I'm a heel and I never really win clean because my faction comes in and helps me. Like, I mean, that's Ric Flair. You
Yeah, like
know,
I don't know if Eddie Guerrero happens without Ric Flair.
yeah, facts. Like,
Yeah.
And we know how important Eddie is.
yeah,
Right.
Pat, what do we think?
I'm gonna go 11. Just everything you guys mentioned. Um, and if you look now, whenever a heel wants to be taken more serious, they put on a suit. Who's
yeah,
Yeah.
wearing suits to be cool first? Ric Flair. Um, whenever like I mean Cody Rhodes, not even a heel. Uh, when he decided like I'm gonna be this legitimate person, wears a suit.
yeah,
Like that. Well, that's that old school champion. Uh, if you're gonna be the champion, look the part type of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just so many people still are taken from Ric Flair and trying
And
to redo it, and
and
that shouldn't be.
the fact that Cody is pulling from Ric Flair speaks to how influential it is because Cody's daddy was his biggest adversary at one point.
Exactly.
And Cody said, "Sorry, Dad. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to pull from the man over here."
yeah. He's
Like,
closer to him too. I mean, like the whole traveling champ, the whole Kitty Omega belt collector thing. That's mainly Ric Flair, like traveling around defending your belt, no matter
yeah,
what.
that's what he did. Like he
Yeah,
just
no matter what the promotion was. He was just like, you giving me some money? You want to fight for the belt? All right, bet. I'll be there.
Yeah.
You know, like that's all Ric Flair.
The
Pat.
man survived a plane
Okay.
crash.
It's true.
I jumped ahead a little
Unfortunately.
bit. I just had to.
You
Yeah,
good.
unfortunately.
Theme song, Pat.
Hmm. So I realized after the fact I might have gave Machos too high, but that was my personal thing because it's iconic to me.
Mm,
Even though others on this podcast
mm.
clearly despised it. Um,
I wouldn't say despised. Well,
but
no, I did.
No,
Playing it,
I'll say
Yeah,
it.
playing it
I went
sucked.
pretty strong.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh God.
yeah, you guys
I
definitely
mean,
did.
I
But
don't have like trauma when I hear it, but like I never want to play it again.
Never.
that's called trauma. That's
Yeah, that's despising something. Yeah.
Okay.
uh, uh, this is another one where it was like, now if when he's going with the Four Horsemen theme, that's I give him a 10. But if it's just like the one he used with WWE and I just as a pure singles wrestler, I think maybe an 8. Like I think
What the?
I think the Four Horsemen one was better than his
Well,
the
everyone,
one.
I think everyone thinks that because that Four Horsemen one was
Dun, 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 dun. Like, uh, I don't know. I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9.
a 9. Okay.
I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9.
L, what do you think?
I'm laughing at Brandon right now. He about to lose his mind right now.
I'm trying to hold it together. It's crazy.
Man, I would probably say a 9 as well. Because everything fit with him. Yeah. Unlike the other ones. Like Pat said with Macho Man, but I also had a personal bias against that song. But like everything that he's been in, it fit his character to me. So I say a 9 because of the fit for sure.
Okay. Brandon.
It's an 11, guys. What are we doing here? It's an 11 because I combine both. I give you credit for both. If you're part of the group for both, I'm giving you credit for both. So Four Horsemen, you're getting credit for that. But you're also getting credit for your singles one, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like Kevin Nash, he has his, like I'm gonna give you credit for it. If we were arguing Kevin Nash and you want to argue NWO and you want to argue the Diesel song, if you like that song, I would hear it. And he's the lead guy. Yeah, we got to give you that. Yeah, this is easy. Come on, man. First of all, we don't even have to talk about Four Horsemen. We know how iconic that is. Like if I hear that song, I want to run through a wall. And then, I mean, Ric Flair. Come on, man. It's literally built for him. It's like it's one of those songs you play when you want to showcase something, when something special walked in the room, and he walks in and he spins around. And like, come on, man. Like top tier. Music was top tier.
Okay. Okay. Um, I I'm gonna give it a 9.
Killing me.
uh, the Four Horsemen, yeah, that song it's so good. Um, and yeah, like all of his music fit. Um, I mean, even if we talk evolution, like
Yeah.
Motorhead, killed that, of course. But yeah, I'll give him a 9 for music. Entrance.
This is where
I
we should have been nines.
I was gonna say the robes and the all the every robe he had was fire. All of them.
Fire.
All of them.
Gas.
every single robe he had. And yeah, like the arms out, the spin around, the look here, folks. Look in awe.
Right.
It is I, Ric Flair. Like I'm gonna give him a 9. If for no other reason, the robes. The robes were so fire. Um, Brandon.
This is where we should be 9, fellas. This right here. Because I mean, the robes alone gives you a 9, but after that, wasn't a ton else. I mean, the fireworks. I remember I watched Ric Flair's last entrance in WWE when he went against Shawn Michaels for a match, anyways. And when the fireworks went off and he was spinning around and like you felt the aura of it all, it was great. But yeah, this is a 9.
L.
Like Brandon said, this one should be a 9, so I will give it a 9. Just because, like you said, the Rose is always fire. Um, like you said, I did watch that match too. I
Yeah,
just wish that like he had that type of entrance more often than not,
yeah,
and just it was just so grand with
yeah,
like perfection is coming
yep.
with Rick. So I'll give it a 9 as well.
Okay. Okay. Pat.
Hmm. 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 This is tough. He had the flashy robes. He did the little turn thing when he came out of uh when he came through the curtain, he would turn and show everybody the robe. I don't know if the robe alone gets you a 9. They were great robes. They were great robes. Hmm. I'm gonna go 9 though, because you knew it was about to go down and you're in for a treat whenever that music hit. You saw him walk through with the robe. And a lot of times you just want to see what kind of robe he was wearing that night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He also sometimes would occasionally bust out the strut going down the ramp. But it was very on brand for him because he would walk around, wouldn't even high five the fans. He'd just look at them like, hey, I'm the champ. I'm better than you. Let's get this over with so I can go party.
I get
Sure.
on these hoes. Yep.
Yep.
Uh, Pat, longevity.
Um, this is one that I'm gonna get a reaction from. I'm gonna give it a 5.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 5.
All right, bro.
So hold on,
You
hear me out. Hear me out why I'm gonna do it. So he's been around for a long time. Like dude was in a plane crash, came back, still wrestled for multiple years. But I've said it before, and I'm gonna say this again. There has to be a time where you yourself is like, hey, maybe I should step back. Maybe I should go away. I think Ric Flair stayed too long. Because now when Ric Flair comes out, I'm like, oh man, this man might die in a ring right here. Like,
Hey, he almost did.
Yep.
yeah, the man has. My brother and I joke about this all the time. He's kicked out at 2.5 on God multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, it's been multiple times he in a hospital, and it's like, oh, all right, this is it. Like, we're losing Ric Flair today, and then at 2.5, by God, he kicks out. Like, he does not know how to not just let himself pull away from that. Like, I'm not saying not be around the business at all, but understand, like, hey, I'll come if you're in Flair country, I'll come by. I'll be backstage, talk with the wrestlers. I'll come up with Charlotte, whatever, whatever. But also, like, it's not for me anymore. Like, it's these guys' turn. Let them do it. Like, wants to go with be in the music videos with Migos and whatever else. So be it. But like, it, too long is too long. You got to know when to step away.
I think I disagree. I'm gonna give him a 9 for longevity. My man started in the 70s
Hmm.
and wrestled like he wrestled from the 70s to like was he in the ring 2010s? Like because I remember the Shawn Michaels retirement, and that's when I thought he was done, and then he was still doing stuff. And his yes, there were several times he almost died. He's playing with house money at this point. Like he should have died many times before now. And the fact that he's still going, there's got to be cocaine in his veins at this point. Like it has just assimilated into his regular function because there's no way this man should still be walking, let alone in a ring. And every time I've seen him, even late, like he was still performing like Ric Flair. He was a little slower, but he was still performing like Ric Flair does. And I give him a 9 for longevity because he wrestled like in the ring. He was in the ring for a long time. There was a point where he wasn't in the ring as often, and good. You don't need to be.
Yeah.
Like you could have retired already, but he's one of those people who's had more than one retirement.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, the fact that he's standing is just a testament to how he refuses to die. Like that whole I'm not here for a long time, I'm here for a good time. Ric Flair said, no, both. Let's go.
Right.
Uh so yeah, I'm gonna give him a 9. Brandon.
Five is ridiculous. Um, and disrespectful. Yeah. Uh, I'm gonna go 9 here as well. The longevity is obvious. He wrestled literal decades in different promotions across the world. Pretty much any promotion you could think of, Ric Flair wrestled in it. Um,
Should
and
he have been wrestling in TNA though? Can you, with a straight face,
okay,
tell me
sure,
he should have been wrestling in
he,
TNA?
he shouldn't have, but I'm not gonna
That's
knock
my
you for
point
that.
exactly.
He was already a 9 when he left. He was damn near a 9 or a 10 when he
Yeah,
against HBK. If that would have been his final one, 9 or 10, I'm not gonna dock you because you want to hop in the ring a few more times.
I will. At some point, you got to know when your time's up.
Hey
The
man,
clock, man, the
it don't
clock.
hurt me none.
It's a show. Like,
He was getting that
man,
money.
fathers were taking their kids to those matches, and the kid was like, "Dad, that's the Ric Flair. Why did you like him?" Like, nah.
He's old. I mean, I don't know what they want, what they expect
uh,
from an 80-some-year-old man, but
uh,
uh yeah, this is a 9. I mean, the dude literally wrestled decades. He wrestled against all of our favorites. He wrestled against all of them. You know what I mean? So yeah, 9 for sure.
L.
Definitely was saying 9. Like he what started in what 1974.
Yeah.
And if we don't want to count TNA because Pat doesn't like his TNA stint, which that's understandable.
Yeah, I get that.
I get that too.
Like he
That
didn't need
went
to do that.
He didn't need to do that. So that went from 1974 to 2010 with that Shawn Michaels match. Didn't really have any stop gaps.
Yep.
he did when he was in a plane
The
crash.
plane crash? Yeah, I knew that was
Yeah,
coming
but
up.
that's not his fault.
That's not his fault. Yeah,
That's
that's
not
not
his
a
fault.
you're pushed out of the door and you have a gap. They literally the day if he would have been healthy the next day, they'd have been like, "Hey man,
He would
you
have
wrestle
win.
tomorrow." Yeah. Hey bro, you defending the title tomorrow, buddy. Like,
It's the cocaine in his blood.
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever that in his blood. I don't know. He got that. What's that bad guy from Batman?
Oh, he's got the
Ra's al
venom.
Ghul.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Lazarus pit.
Yeah, he been in the Lazarus pit a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely say a 9. That's a
Okay.
long time.
Yeah, I agree. Um, L, other, miscellaneous.
I'm a huge Ric Flair fan. Just off the just outside of wrestling stuff. Because like we said earlier, like that's him. Like that ain't no character. That's him. And just to show that and just to be that just cocky. This man's 75, 76 years old and he's still the same person.
Yeah.
And also this dude should have died about 4 or 5 times. That I never seen a person legit have 9 lives.
Yep.
Like I respect that.
When he does actually die, I don't know if I'll believe it.
I won't believe it. Like the time where he that last time, not the when he had that final match, but that last time, like it was like touch and go. Like, are we about to lose Ric Flair?
Yeah, they were
Like,
making RIP posts.
yeah, like I was sitting here like getting worried. I was like, man, he better not be gone.
Yeah.
Like, I would definitely say a 10. I've always been a Ric Flair fan.
Okay. Okay. Brandon.
Man, I'm biased. I mean, this is what this is for.
Yep.
I love a wrestler who, to me, he's what other the type of wrestler I love the most, who like love it, like Undertaker. Like Undertaker would wrestle right now if he could. You know what I mean?
He
The goat.
said that recently.
The goat.
Yeah. Like for better or worse, I love dudes who love wrestling. Like Hulk Hogan to me doesn't love wrestling. He just likes attention. You know what I mean? To me, there's a difference. And Ric Flair like loves wrestling. You know what I mean? And so, like, yeah, he loves all the other stuff. We talked about it. But I think if he could just, if you said, hey, Rick, you don't get any other attention, but you can wrestle again, he'd sign up for it all day long. And so those type of dudes, and just the fact that he made a champion be a prestigious thing, like that's huge. Like he could have, there's plenty of champions during that time, but he made that belt the belt that it was. And yeah, I gotta give him a 10 here.
Okay. I think I'm also going to have to give him a 10 here. It's Ric Flair. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
It's Ric Flair. Like he's he's oftentimes like whoever you consider the GOAT, that person considers Ric Flair the GOAT.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like that's usually the case. Like most people say that Ric Flair is the GOAT, and I see why. And Brandon, the your mentioning of his love for wrestling has a lot to do with it. Like
right,
he is in it for the love of the game.
right,
And he's been able to be very successful and do a lot with it. But the fact that a man like Ric Flair did the territory thing, like he'd go everywhere. Like
yeah,
he didn't have to do that.
exactly.
Like Hulk Hogan wasn't doing that shit.
No,
Like the money had to be right in order to get Hulk Hogan to do it, which I understand, but Ric Flair was like, no, I love the game. And so
right,
yeah, like if you need me to show up and wrestle, we wrestling.
yeah,
And also all of his off the court stuff.
right.
Like he's Ric Flair.
Just Ric Flair.
That's a 10. Bet.
Um,
Bullshit.
I don't like him, not because he's a bad person, but because I literally think he wants to die in the ring. Like he is setting himself up to die in the middle of that ring, and I think that's how he wants it. And no, I don't, I look up to the guy like one of my favorites, somebody that I quote often. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Uh, I don't want to see him go out like that. I want him to be able to just relax at home, front of the TV, doing what he does. If he wants to have a drink, he can have a drink. I don't care. I want him to know he doesn't have to continue to go out and get in the ring to please his fans. Like, we love the guy. We'll give him his flowers whenever he needs them. Just don't feel like you have to continue performing for us. With that being said, uh, I'm gonna go 9.
Okay. Okay. I mean, to die doing what you love,
Facts.
that's a way to go out.
Yeah,
Because I figure Ric Flair will either die in the ring or in somebody. Like those are two. He's going out one of those ways, and that's it.
Uh,
somebody's last ride on Space Mountain.
Yep.
Legit the last ride.
oh man.
So, okay. So, final scores. Brandon, what do you think Ric Flair came out with?
I want to say 84.
You gave Ric Flair an 89.
Let's go.
L, 87. Pat, 82. And me, 87.
Okay.
So far, I mean, I know we've only done 4, but Ric Flair is, he did very well.
And the lowest for everybody is obviously Bret Hart, right?
Yes. Bret Hart is in the 50s for all of us.
And third is Hulk Hogan. Second is Macho.
Yes, that is true. Now, it's so funny because for Pat, Macho Man's an 81 and Ric Flair's an 82. And so that's the closest.
It's
And
kind of crazy.
Brandon, for you, Macho Man was a 77, Ric Flair's an 89.
Yeah.
So that's
Mine,
the biggest split between those two.
Mine is more realistic than Pat's. Pat's is like
Stop.
Macho Man was not 1 point less than Ric Flair. Like, what are we
Stop.
doing? What are we
Stop.
doing?
That's very, very accurate.
It isn't though.
It is.
And we'll see. We gonna do more of this. So we're gonna see who else lands where. But I had a feeling Ric Flair was gonna do really well here.
When we get to John Cena, he's gonna be lower than Bret Hart for Brandon.
No, he won't.
Yeah,
I can't
hope
wait.
he's not.
So
I bet
He better not be for real.
he will. I guarantee it. I already can see it right now.
for
It's
those,
not a prediction. It is a spoiler.
If he sold it, what was Bret Hart with Brandon? You said a 52?
52.
It better not be no lower than
John,
that 52.
yeah,
Bro,
John's
come on,
about
it
to be a
can't be.
45 for Brandon.
It
It
can't
can't
be.
be.
You gotta
Oh,
bury
yeah,
that
just
man
wait.
if you give him lower than the 52.
Have y'all not
It
heard
can't be.
Brandon talk about John Cena?
We have. That's why I said it better
Yeah.
not be lower than Bret Hart.
Bro,
He's going to.
I've been unbiased about
A
that.
John Cena
But
hater.
I'm definitely not. But
You are.
I will say, the next one, we've definitely tapped into some WWE history, but next one will be more modern. You know what I mean? We'll switch it up a little bit. We'll start getting a little pattern where it's older wrestlers than more modern. They're not new because everyone we talk about is retired. Will be retired, but yeah, or down the road of retirement. Obviously,
Yep.
John Cena hasn't retired yet, but yeah, I will be unbiased as I usually am.
The fact that Hulk Hogan did better than Bret Hart, I think, speaks to the lack of bias.
Thank you.
Because we all, like everybody in the room, was like, I don't want to give Hulk Hogan any good numbers, but
Yes,
we all gave him at least 111. So I think that I think we have a pretty good room, and I think that we are able to leave our biases at the door. I think. I don't all the way know because that 5 on longevity was crazy.
crazy. That's
You know,
wild. That's the worst score anyone's given.
Sometimes longevity can be a negative.
Okay,
Sometimes longevity
you
can
said
be
a
negative.
5, buddy.
Yeah. Because
He don't want him to die.
long. Yeah,
Okay,
too long is too
But you
long.
you don't dock someone 5
But
points
it's
for that.
just
That's
like
crazy.
I did.
That's stupid. That has
You
nothing
know,
to do with
he docked her for
actual
his love of
longevity.
wrestling.
Yeah.
No,
He
I docked him.
He
I
docked him
docked
for
him
his
because the man
passion.
too long, man. Too long is too long sometimes.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's that. Hey, it's yours. It's your number.
Yeah,
It's your
Worst
ranking.
score
That's why we
of
each have one.
I'm
of the
biased.
series so far.
I'm biased.
But all right, guys, I appreciate you once again. Fans, everyone, listeners, let us know what you think. Is Pat an idiot, or do you agree with Pat? You know what I mean? Do you agree that he's an idiot? Whichever you agree, let us know.
Man
Tap
said
in. Let us
idiot
know.
twice.
Yeah, you did say that twice, by the way.
Let us know what you think. Let us know if you think, you know what I mean. If you disagree with some of our other scores, what you would have given them, and let us know if you also what you think if some of these wrestlers should be higher. Bret Hart should be higher than what he is. Uh, yeah, definitely tap in. But any last words, guys?
I don't think so.
No.
No. All
I'm
right.
unbiased.
All right, Brady. That's the most guilty thing you can say. All right.
Yeah.
But until next time, guys. We out. Yeah.